Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. I wanted to say hello and that I am actually very sorry that you have to be stuck at a computer and working on the ancient world on a holiday weekend. That just doesn't seem nice. And the fact that I'm at a computer too, I want you to know, builds my sense of empathy here. So, anyway, I thought I would just say hello and tell you that you're all doing well. And I hope that you're finding things congenial. We will soon be deciding via some way whether or not you want a big group response or you would simply like a response as I read your postings. You let me know. So basically, I thought since you have to be inside at your computer when you should be at the beach, Timmy and I would like to give you the opportunity to experience some sand. I can't take you to the beach, but I can take you to the sands of the past. So, my first comment is in response to Jennifer saying that she really didn't like the den, which is my husband's computer at which I am shooting this. She thought it was too dark. You'll notice we're trying better lighting, and I am sitting against the wings of Isis. And by the way, these are eagle's wings, and Isis is the mother goddess of the Egyptian god Horus and the wife of the dead god Osiris. And in fact, once you die, she cradles you in these wings as you are laying there in your little mummy coffin, and you know you are protected. So, in fact, this is the world behind the text image of being in the shadow or the shade of God's wings. If you go take a look at Exodus 19, you're going to see that God flies Israel out of slavery and to the holy mountain on eagle's wings. And that is a very deliberate invocation in the original language to people who knew these things the same way we know what a golden arch means, that God was more than male or supra male. So if you have gender issues about falling in love with the God of the Hebrew Bible, hang in there. You're going to find out quite a bit of stuff along the way. So that was lesson et number 1. And the next lesson comes directly from the ancient sand. You may be wondering, can archaeologists really tell all that stuff about the materials they dig out of the ground? I mean, they don't come tagged with something that said, Abraham slept here. So how about it? Well, yes, I wanted to show you that absolutely we do know what we're talking about. Let me show you. These materials are from the Bronze Age and the Iron Age in ancient Seleucia, a town in modern Syria. And so we should be thinking about those people in prayer as well whenever we encounter their traditions, their languages. And these are the first fruits of a bulldozer that was putting up some condo apartments. And one of the things that happens in the Mideast is when somebody digs into the ground, things fall out. Or if somebody blows up the ground, there are also things fall out. So we always have interest whenever there's any kind of excavation just for building. Well, the problem with a bulldozer is the things that fall out cannot be dated entirely properly because we didn't dig them up carefully and tag them and correlate them to a geological map. However, I wanted to show you that our pottery clock is actually right on time. This particular bulldozer, the very first cut it made into the earth for apartment buildings, it hit a temple of Baal. That is, it hit the temple of the weather or storm or thunder god of the region. And this is very similar to both the portrait of Yahweh in the Hebrew Bible, as well as the Ugaritic portrait of Baal, or Baal, as you may have heard him wrongly spoken of. So first of all, let me show you some different potsherds. This one, which you can see has been incised. This is actually the neck of a storage jar. It would have gotten big down here and smaller up here. But you will notice as I turn it to the side that it is very thin. And if we looked at the back, look, it's been made on a wheel. Very nice. Okay, this is from the early Bronze Age, the flourishing of urban culture. Now we move to the late Bronze Age, and here is another top. Oop, it's kind of hard to do this because it's a little backwards. There we go. This is also a top from a jar. Okay, here's our handle, and here is the spout. Get your children to sing along. Now, if I show you the edges of this, I hope you can see that these are actually not quite as elegant as our as 1,000 years earlier. Do you see? Thick, thick, thick compared to thin. Okay, let's compare now what happens when we move into the early Iron Age, when the Sea Peoples, known to you perhaps as the Philistines, hit town. And now here is an example of a pot. Look at that. You see how thick this sucker is? Got it? I mean, this is just crude. Why is that? Because the Sea Peoples simply destroyed every culture they found. These are also the Greeks of the Trojan War. And in fact, you'll remember how the Trojans were always much nicer and much more civilized, and the Greeks just came in their boats and killed everybody in their sight and took over and destroyed trade. Okay, so that's what's happening to us. You'll also notice that compared to, the nice little, very simple but still incised decoration from the early Bronze Age, here what we've got is just an extremely crude, almost like a stick figure, and it's the top of a tree. Another way of saying here is the beautiful early bronze handle on a real big pot. You see it's been glazed. Nice. Compared to this thing 1,000 years later, that is simply, I mean, it's an okay handle. It's better than the Iron Age, but it's nothing like what we were seeing earlier. Also, to show you a household idol from the Bronze Age. And this, again, I would date to the early Bronze Age. Okay. You'll notice we have a kind of snaky bird head, very nice and smooth. And here, down at the bottom, is its little stand, flanged out at the bottom. See it? Okay. Again, nice and smooth. This is made on a wheel. So what we can say here is that we had mass production of a household god. And I guess if this little fellow, male or female, was in your house and giving you this sort of look like an inquisitive bird, or maybe a powerful snake, we can't really say, you would feel very, very close to your deity. So it's not really true that heathens had no sense of the divine, but rather our editors want to make sure that we don't think we can image the divine. So you ask me, well, where are the divine figures from ancient Israel? Well, I'll actually show you those via my archaeological drawings as we get nearer to their time period. But basically, what we have left to us from Israel's late Bronze Age and early Iron Age is their texts, their stories, their legends, their assumption that they started out as nobodies and a mixed multitude, and somehow they became a people who survived. Yay, even unto this very day. So I hope this gave you a little trip to the beach, or at least shifting sands. Feel free to go rent a video of Aladdin, or something that features the sand. The Prince of Baghdad is kind of interesting, or rather the Thief of Baghdad, in black and white with who is it, Douglas Fairbanks, is always interesting. And then there's a later one, and I think it has Tony Curtis in it. Anyway, enjoy your holiday. I'm sorry we don't get to take time off, but then neither do I. So all the best. Shalom.